Alright, this is going to be a review on the Butterworm package that I just recently got. There's not going to be much to this video. I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys that I rate these Butterworms a good rating. They're a 4 out of 5 stars for me. I just wanted to try them out. So I tried them out. All of the babies really like them. They come in nice colors. They come in like these orangish, reddish colors, and they just make for really good feeders in my opinion. They should be used more as treats than staples. Just pretty much on the same level with hornworms in my opinion. I'm rating these about a 4 out of 5 stars because they're not quite as good as dubia roaches and hornworms. Hornworms do have the capacity to grow very large, whereas these butterworms just, stay at a standard size, about the size of wax moths or wax worms, whatever you call them. And I do like wax worms, which is why I decided to try these out, because people have said they're very similar, but a lot more better in fat and calcium. So the calcium, as you can see from this little picture that I have for silkworms, which is what most people would call hornworms, the fat is about decent. It's not quite 50, and then the calcium's pretty low, the phosphorus is pretty low, but the protein is very high. So, like I say, hornworms are my more favorite feeder treat, basically, I would say, because they have the capacity to grow very large and give your dragon a lot of protein. Now, for butterworms, they don't have so much protein, but they have a lot of calcium. Like, they're almost full-blown calcium, and what I like about that is if, you are struggling to feed your dragon calcium, that's one thing that they will take in and they will enjoy probably a lot more than a calcium supplement. Now, for waxworms, you got a fat content of 73. We're not going to talk about mealworms because most people don't feed mealworms to their dragons, but as you can see, mealworms are almost like just potato chips. I mean, they're pretty fat, low calcium, low phosphorus, and a decent amount of protein, but not much at all. And then, like I said, waxworms are pretty high in fat, low in protein, and really low in calcium. So they're not really great feeders, but they do make for great treats. Bearded dragons love them. They eat them up like candy. And then, of course, you got crickets down at the bottom. Now, another thing that I wanted to state was when I got these butterworms, I noticed that the bedding was webbed together almost. It was clumpy. And I'd never seen that before, and I thought it was from the providers, but I've had I've had waxworms and other feeders in this type of substrate before, and of course, I usually just put it all in a bin that I use for my roaches to sort out their frass, and that is how I sift out the dirt from my worm insects as well. So I looked online, just a simple question just to show you guys, can bearded dragons eat butterworms? And the answer was, cost-wise, they're a little less expensive than crickets. Bearded dragons eat waxworms and butterworms eagerly, so they are more treats, as you can see. But the worms should not make up a substantial percentage of the lizard's diet due to their higher fat content. Instead, include the worms as part of a varied diet. And I agree with this very much. If you were to feed your dragons dubias and crickets, day by day, every other day, whatever, and then you gave them butterworms as kind of like their treat meal, that would be perfect for them. They will gain, especially younger dragons. Younger dragons can have butterworms as well. I fed some to my baby girl Tigress, who is only about 2 months, maybe 3 months old now. And Mango, you bobbing? What you doing, baby? You tired of hearing me talk? And now I looked up another question, which was how do you store butterworms, and it said keep your butterworms in a plastic container with an organic substrate like wheat bran, for example. Place the container in the refrigerator, but make sure they will remain dry. Check the worms after about an hour. If they are webbing the substrate together, then leave them. So that is the answer to my question that I had, which is why is the substrate all stuck together? They apparently web it all together and burrow themselves inside of it, which is what I saw when I filmed this. That's pretty much all there is to the video, guys. Got a couple videos of the babies eating the butterworms, and my opinion of the butterworms was they will make for great feeder insects. So go grab some today and try them out. My review on them is very highly. So yeah, that's pretty much all there is. Thanks for watching, guys. got two big ones right here. These have got to be the biggest ones in there. Tigers, get your back. Copper, golly, it's mayhem up in here. Copper, bring the ass back. You want another butterworm or not? This is why I love my lizards. Look at her. She's just a parkour master.